Hey guys, what's up? It's Alec Torelli, and in this video I wanted to share the story of how I became a professional poker player. So many people ask how I get involved in such an esoteric profession like this, and I wanted to give you a backdrop of when it all started. So we're gonna go way back to my first experience playing poker, and ironically, it was with family. And what I would usually do with my family on holidays, so Thanksgiving and Christmas, is we were a poker family. So like we would have turkey and you know, whatever, cranberry sauce and the whole thing. But then like the real highlight of our holiday gathering was when everyone came together, all of our aunts and uncles, and we would play a game of poker. And so I was, 5-7 years old, barely old enough to have my feet touch the floor. And my parents would sometimes give me $5 to play. And we always played for real money because, poker can't be played seriously if people don't have economic incentive to fold. And so we would play for real money, and like people played very seriously. Like everyone wanted to win. People were competitive. It wasn't about, making $5 or $10 in the game, even though sometimes people walked away with $30, $40 or whatever it was, because people would rebuy in and lose money like is typical in a poker game. But everyone wanted to win, like if you've ever played cards, you know that, you don't like to lose, and you're like, your ego's on the line, your pride is on the line, your competitive spirit is on the line, and you want to do your best. So these games were very competitive. And even though I was 7 years old, like, people would bluff me. Like, they didn't have a hand. They weren't like only playing easy on me because I was a kid. And that was cool. I got to learn a lot. And what I really learned in those games was that I learned a lot about my relatives. I actually learned arguably the most about them when we played poker, because I got to see that the types of people they were away from the table was manifested into their character at the table. So my aunt was like very conservative, like not, didn't spend a lot of money, was very like restrictive with her money. And so she was also very like tight as a poker player. She would like not bluff, not enter the pot. When she entered the hand, she had the goods. My uncle, on the other hand, was like very gregarious, boisterous, outgoing, loud. And so he would bluff a lot. He would be in every hand. He would gamble a lot. He would see a lot of like flops and a lot of like cards, and he would draw a lot and be like aggressive, and he would be raising you, and he would be laughing and like talking you out of folds or talking you into folds or whatever it was. So different people used their innate skill set that was based on who they were as people. Like they would use their innate characteristics, and that would dictate their playing style. So I got to learn a lot about my relatives through how they played cards. I got to see people at their best when they were winning, and I got to see people, frankly, like, poker exposes people, you see them at their worst, so to speak, when they're losing. So you got to see how people acted when things weren't going their way. And that was very, very interesting as a kid to get these novel experiences. And I also learned a little bit about cards. So I fell in love with this game because I associated it with all of these positive memories of my childhood, of, getting to bond with my aunts and uncles, getting to sit at the table with them as equals. And frankly, sometimes poker is a great game because it's an equalizer. You can have, a very like successful, wealthy businessman, and then, any other old Joe, and the old Joe could beat that person. And that's not the way that it typically works, in a sports game or in the business world, but like the poker is the equalizer. And so I could win in this game and I could beat them. And so that made me really competitive, made me love the game, and it made me love these experiences. So also other things about me is like I was very creative and like, I guess just entrepreneurial as a kid. Like, so I would love to collect playing cards, and I would like be gambling on random things with friends. And so it was kind of weird now that I look back on it. For us, it was normal because like my circle of friends would bet on everything. But I realize now that it was abnormal. So like we would bet on things, and we would always play for keeps. So it was called playing for keeps with us, and it was playing for like physical item, like a collectible that had value to us, or we would play for money. And we have numerous examples of this. So like if you're old enough to know what pogs are, those little round circular discs that you used to like drop a piece of metal on and try and flip them over, like most people would play for fun. So if you win or lose, you would get your pogs back at the end of the day. We played for keeps. So sometimes I would lose, large portions of my pog set to my friends. Sometimes I would win. And we would also do this with like trading cards. So we would play games of like horse. Let's say you play horse on the basketball court, and we would play like, $1 a letter or $5 a letter as we got older. So if you lost like HO to HORSE, you'd lose, like $10 maybe, depending on how much we were playing for. Or we would play for like playing cards. So we would be trading each other playing cards, and you'd have to kind of like learn to hustle a bit. So like, you'd have to like sell your playing card for another person's, and you'd have to like talk them into buying it, like, as you would as a kid, like in this like jovial kind of way. And so I learned these like innate skills that helped me in poker as I got older, which was like how to think like a bettor, like avoid getting hustled, like how to like think about betting and thinking about odds and like, and just like thinking about things in terms of like making bets and that like it was normal to lose and like how you handled losing. And like, I remember one time I saved up all of these tickets at an arcade that I'd saved for probably like a year. And I bought a lava lamp with them. And this was like my prized possession. Like these were like the coolest things at the time when I was a kid. And I had this lava lamp and I loved it. And my friends loved it too, of course, because I was like the kid with the lava lamp. It was like so cool to have it in my room at night, and I turned it on and it glowed. And so one time, like I went bust, like when we didn't have like large net worths when I was like 10. So I went bust, whatever that meant. I lost all my playing cards or my pogs or my $20 that I had on me that I had for like birthday money and allowance money. And I wanted to keep betting with my friends. I was on tilt, right? I was like pretty tilted 10-year-old here at the time. And I wagered my lava lamp, like against, trying to get my money back in a game of ping pong or pool or horse or who could hold their breath the longest. And it was challenging for me because one of the main friends that I would bet with was 2 years older than me. And like, it's not a big deal now in my 30s, but when you're 10 and he's 12, that's like a huge difference, right? He's like 20% older than me. So he's like much more physically strong, much more capable in sports, like a much better basketball player, a much better ping pong player. He could hold his breath longer. He could like do everything better than me. And so I got used to betting against like this guy, and like I would always lose, and it was frustrating. Anyway, I lost my lava lamp to this guy. And that was like devastating, like that was like my first time going broke. But I had these experiences, these like really interesting experiences that like would later serve me in poker. So I learned about like, risk management, so to speak, as a 10-year-old. Like I was learning about these things. And so when I came to the point where I got asked to play poker for the first time, I was, fast forward now, I'm 16, it's summer. I'm like surfing with a friend after school, in the summer one day. And he invites me to his house to play poker. Poker just boomed on television. And I was like, oh, I'm great at poker. Like, I was like super confident because I had played with my aunts and uncles. And I was thinking like, nobody knows how to play. And, I'm good because I played with my aunts and uncles. I was terrible at the time. I actually had a hand where we both had the same hand. But because I had the ace of spades, I thought I would win because like a spade was a better suit. So I knew nothing about poker. This was like pretty embarrassing. But anyway, I played poker. And my first time playing, I won $12. And as they say of any, better gambler, like, the worst thing that could happen is you win your first time because you're hooked, right? So I was hooked. I like realized like, wow, I could like, beat my friends out of this, out of this card game. And it was really cool because I was in musical theater in high school. I was in like choir. I dropped out of football, and like, the friends that I was playing with were like cooler than me. They were kind of like in the in crowd. I didn't really party. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke weed. I like didn't do those things in high school. So like these guys were all like cool, and it was cool because in poker, like it is a very great equalizing game, and I could win. So like I could beat all these people, but like I would never beat them on the football court or the basketball court, or like I was never, like super athletic. I didn't make my high school basketball team, for example. And so like, it was cool because in poker I was like, I could win, I could outwit them. Like I can like, I could like outplay them, but I can use my mind. And so that was really cool. So I fell in love with this game. Like there was money, I could win money. Everyone else was getting a job. And I was like, okay, there was all these home games happening with friends. And I was like, maybe I could win, $20 here and there. I didn't realize that, you would lose and like you'd have an hourly rate and all those things I learned later on. But I was just like, well, if I could win $20 every time I play, I could play 2-3 times a week and, not have to get a job. Like that was like the extent of my ambition. And then I read some books early on, like Play Poker Like the Pros. And as I got more and more like all in and obsessed and passionate about poker, I saw that like this was actually a career path. I saw these people doing it on television, these role models that I looked up to. And I saw like, I read this book, Play Poker Like the Pros by Phil Hellmuth. I saw that he had made $20,000 by the time he was 18, and he dropped out of college. And so now I had like this goal, like this ambition, this benchmark of like, okay, this is what the best in the world did. I had this like idea of like what was possible, and there was like a path laid out that was like this, someone actually did this. So I could see that this was like a possible lifestyle that you could live. And I just really was like absolutely in love with poker in high school. I played online. I had a credit card that I had for emergencies. So I gave my parents $50 that I'd won playing in home games with friends. And I used the card to deposit money online. I played some poker online. And I did well. Like in high school, I won a tournament. I I bought in $30. There were like 600 players. I got first place. It was like $2,000. I felt like so wealthy because I had $2,000, which in high school was like, I don't know, 200 grand. Like I don't even know. It's more than that because like you don't have a concept of money. So it's just like infinite money. And so I felt actually like so wealthy that I took my friends out to Chili's and we bought 2 bowls of endless chips. So I was like, why wait for a refill? Like we have so much money, I could just buy 2. Like I just did stupid stuff with money for a very long time. But anyway, that was the start of it. But anyway, yeah, like I had these early successes that gave me a lot of confidence. So when I got to college, now I'm 18, I was playing a lot in high school. Like I did well. I was going to Indian casinos nearby. We were like making, maybe like $100 a time when I would go. The home games I started playing in with friends started getting bigger, where people started with $5, then it got $10, then it got $20. People would rebuy. There were days where, I would make $100 in a home game in high school, which was like a lot of money at the time. Also playing online, we were playing these sit and goes and cash games, and the buy-in was $200. I had a week in high school where I made $3,000. And I remember I set out a goal. I was like, I'm going to play 1-2. I'm going to play 4 tables. I'm going to make $600 a day. My goal is to make $3,000 in a week. And I actually like quit every single day after I hit my goal, whatever it was. It was like like $487, whatever it was. I did the math, and so I quit every day. I made $3,000 in a week. I won 7 days in a row, and so I had these like early wins that gave me a lot of confidence. And I realized like, wow, like maybe I'm actually good at this game. And so when I was in high school, when I was in college, I got to a point in my career where I realized, and there's a blog about this on consciouspoker.com. About the story of how I dropped out of school to play poker professionally, so you can look at that if you want more info. But I basically realized that I came to this tipping point, this crossroads in my life where like I only could get so good at poker while I was still immersed in college. Like, college was getting more demanding. There were friends, there were parties, there were, which is a part of college, there was a social life, there was meeting new people and new relationships and girls, and then there was university, right? So I had like classes. I was a business major. I was at SMU on a partial scholarship. So like, I had like a demanding academic career. And I realized like, my poker is taking a lot of time. Like all day Sunday, I'm playing tournaments. I'm playing cash games multiple days a week. Tuesday, there's a big tournament online. And there was home games around Dallas that I was playing in this circuit of games. I had a period in Dallas where I won like, I don't remember how much it was. I think we played in like a 10-20 game or something like that. I could be getting the numbers wrong, but I think I won like 5 or 10 grand in a single session. I had sessions where I lost too, so it wasn't like all wins. But I was starting to play for serious amounts of money, and I saved up like 20 or 30 grand. And I remember thinking like, I'm at the point that Phil Hellmuth was when he quit college to play, and he became the best in the world. So like, maybe I'm not going to be the best in the world, but maybe like I'm on this same path and the same trajectory. And I see that there's like even more opportunity in the poker world today than there was when he was starting, because we have online poker. Poker is exploding in the US. Everyone's playing poker. It's actually cool now. Maybe there's something here. And so I realized like I'm at a pivotal point in my life. Like I have this crossroads where I'm either going to drop out of school and play poker professionally, or I'm going to have to put poker pretty much completely on hold and really focus on my school, because it doesn't make sense to spend the money I'm spending at SMU and be here and like half-ass it and get all C's, or just like not take my education seriously. It's just not respectful to like the situation to do that. So I was sitting at the pool one day at SMU, and I was reviewing poker hands while everyone was studying, and I remember seeing there's a gate, like, so there's a beautiful pool, the Deadman Sports facility at SMU, and there's like a gate around the periphery of the pool, and everyone else was like, walking around, like going with their books, like going to class or going to study or going home to like do their homework, and I'm sitting here at the pool. And there was this like analogy that I kind of like thought about, that like I'm sort of enclosed in here living this really cool life where I'm at the pool chilling, studying poker, and everybody else is like scurrying to class, and they're like on this trajectory to go into the real world and like get, jobs and careers and have a normal life. And I remember thinking of a quote I heard from someone I listened to on the radio, and his name is Dennis Prager. He's who's a radio talk show host. I listened to him in high school, and he said, if you want to know if you're on the right path in life, it's very simple. Just look at the people that are 10 years older than you and ask if you want to be like them. And if you don't, then you're on the wrong path. And so I looked at the people that were 10 years older than me in these two different worlds, like, you know, the poker world, these people that were traveling around the world, making final tables and, you know, sipping pina coladas in Aruba, playing for millions of dollars. And then I looked at the people that were 10 years older than me, you know, after college that had these like jobs and, you know, like maybe well-paying jobs, but like, you know, typical 9-to-5 investment banking or whatever they were doing in business or finance or whatever. And I was like, I clearly want this. And I realized that the only thing that was holding me back was, you know, what other people thought and the fear that if I failed, what would that mean? I realized that in life, like in that moment, if you put the opinions of other people above what your own truth is, you're always going to be living your life on other people's terms. And I was lucky that like my mom and like my dad instilled a lot of confidence in me as a kid that I could like be whatever I want. I actually have this thing on the wall that says like, I'm the only unique me that I'll ever be. You know, I have the power to make a difference in this world, and I look forward to taking on life living and the grand adventure of life living and always remembering to be myself. So like I would read that every day, and that instilled a lot of confidence in me. And so with these like bigger decisions in life, I was able to like have that confidence to go all in. And it's not only just like, you know, blind dumbness that I'm just like going all in on poker and throwing everything away, but I've like proven myself. Like I'm a good player. I've won a lot of money doing this. Like my colleagues, my peers, like other people that I play poker with, my colleagues in the poker world, like tell me that, you know, I'm one of the best players. I'm like doing very well. I have the stats to prove it. I have the money to prove it, the bankroll to prove it. I also evaluated my worst case scenario so I could like overcome that obstacle of fear. And I said, okay, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, I'm 18 years old. I'm sitting here in SMU. The worst thing that happens is I lose this 20 grand that I saved up, right? I go broke. And a year goes by. Let's say like I drop out. I spend the whole year playing poker. I punt away all the money. And now I'm 19. I'm right back here at SMU. I am 1 year older than everybody else around me, and I'm broke. Everyone else is broke. We're all in college. And I'm just a year like behind everyone else in this, you know, rat race. But the best case scenario is I'm like that guy in Aruba at the final table, or the Bahamas or the Caribbean or Monaco or wherever it is, and I'm playing in these events. I'm traveling the world. Poker's paying for it, and I become one of the best in the world. Or at least I become good enough to pay for myself and to like travel and live the life I want through poker. And I have all of these amazing experiences. I meet all these different people. I go to all these amazing places. I do all these amazing things, and I make it. So like I have this asymmetric risk reward, right? Like my worst case scenario is not that bad. I'm just a year behind everyone. Sure, people are going to point and make fun of me and you know, like point fingers, whatever. But at least I tried. At least like I had the balls to say, you know what? Everyone else is talking about shit. I actually did something. And I failed, but at least I did it. Right? And that's pretty cool. When I'm older, I'm never going to regret the things I do. I'm only going to regret the things I don't. Like, that's trivial. And then on the best case scenario, I have this asymmetry. I have this massive, massive upside. I have my dream life, a life I can't even dream of. It just seems like so surreal and fake to me that like I could be one of those people playing on TV and like traveling around the world playing poker and having it pay for it, that like it didn't even seem real, but I was like, that is like theoretically possible. And in that moment, it just all became clear that like the only thing that was holding me back was this like chatter in my head, right? This like this noise, this fear, this like, you know, nonsense, right? Of what other people were thinking. And that's all just bullshit. And so I kind of went all in that moment. I said, you know what? Like, I am going to try this. Like, this is a moment in my life where like, if I don't do this, I am starting my life, like I'm ending my life at 18. I'm basically like compromising the things that are important to me that I want to do, and I'm starting at 18, I can't even imagine what the next 50 years are going to be like. It's only going to get harder. It's only going to get worse. I'm only going to have more responsibility. I'm only going to have more reasons to say no. I'm only going to have more excuses as I get older. So if I don't do this now at 18, like, holy shit, like life is not even going to be fun anymore, right? Like, so I went all in at that moment, and I don't want to say the rest was history. I've talked more about my wins and losses in poker in other videos, so I'll save it for that. But that was really like the catalyst for me to give myself the at-bat. I gave myself the opportunity to be successful, and I went all in, and I really never looked back. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have questions, you want me to elaborate on more things about my early days of poker or other things about poker. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, putting out more awesome content here as well. Thank you for your attention. I'll see you in the next one.